Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right, hey everybody, Rob Kosberg here with another episode of the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast. Really excited to be with our guest today, Suzanne Tulien. I want to tell you a little bit about Suzanne. She's written multiple books, best-selling author, and has used her books in some really cool ways. So we'll be talking about her expertise as well as the ways that she's used her books. But let me tell you a little bit about Suzanne. She's an expert at identifying and defining her client's internal brand DNA, creating authentic positioning, and building competitive advantage by aligning leadership and employees to outbehave their competition. I really like that. As co-pioneer of the brand DNA methodology, she guides her clients through the uncovering of their own unique brand value position. You're, of course, the author of The 6 Myths of Small Business Branding and Brand DNA, and the newest book, which we'll talk a little bit about today, Personal Brand Clarity: Identify, Define, and Align to What You Want to Be Known For. So, Suzanne, welcome to Publish, Promote, Profit. I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but so good to have you on.
Oh, thanks so much, Rob. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love a great conversation. I love what you do. I am somebody that loves marketing and branding, and oftentimes in that order. So I'm interested in having a conversation with someone that loves branding and marketing, maybe with the emphasis on the branding portion of it. So why don't we start, if we could, and tell me about your latest book. And tell me about kind of the focus. Who is that book for, and how does the whole idea of the brand DNA methodology work for that individual within your writing?
The first book,
yes.
Correct?
No, the most recent, the newest one coming out.
Oh, the newest one. Okay, so the newest one, funny enough, this was my quarantine project.
Oh, nice.
So I was able to put this book together finally because I had basically the bandwidth. But the funny thing is a lot of people might develop a course or a program first, or might write the book first and then create a course or program after it. But I am going on already for solopreneurs, some coaching programs going on. And in 2019, I launched my online course for personal brand clarity. And then I just decided, it's time to get it out on paper to give another option for people who love books and learn through reading. People learn in different ways, that they could actually pick up a book and do the work. It's really a workbook.
Who is it for? Who is your ideal client, and how does this book go about reaching them and serving them?
So there are two ideal clients that could really benefit from this book. And one is the solo professional who is the brand of their own business. So people buy their products or services because of them, because they trust them, they believe in them, all of those great attributes that you buy into as a consumer. So the solo professional who wants to be seen, they have expertise, they have talent, and they have a personality that makes them different. They have approach, a different philosophy, and they want to bring that forward. So branding, and we'll get into those definitions, I'm sure, with one of your questions, is a way to help them really dissect what that is and be able to articulate it then in their marketing and create a position, what we call a value position for themselves. The second market I think it's perfect for is for if you're an emerging leader in a corporation, if you're on a big sales team in a corporation, and you really take ownership over your leadership and your sales process. If finding out who you are as a brand and being super articulate and walking the talk and delivering on your promise every day is key to getting your tribe or the people that you're leading enlisted, equipped, and engaged in your vision, right? And even what you're selling if you're on the sales team. So it's super important.
That's very different, I think, than the way most people think about brand, isn't it?
I do.
Most people think about it in terms of, well, certainly people think about it in terms of like a big company or a corporation or, the big brands. And then, of course, business owners like myself, we think about it from the standpoint of our businesses and being the face of it, but it working within an organization, that's kind of a unique take on it. Where does that come from? Where did you kind of develop that idea?
Interesting. I've been in the communication industry forever, marketing, graphic design, anything, voice talent, video production for a long, long time. And I finally stepped away from corporate America, left my creative project manager position and started my own design boutique. And I ran that for about 3 years and focused on corporate identity design. Everybody thinks a brand is a logo, right? And I'll explain that it's not.
Give us the definition.
A brand is not the logo. The logo is just a graphic icon that represents what you want the brand to mean, right? So if you don't understand what you want that logo to actually mean, then you haven't yet identified and defined the brand. So the brand is just a set of perceptions that you've defined that you want others to have of you. And so when you take the time to just really filter out all of those attributes that you believe you are, it's not about becoming something you're not. This is really leveraging who you already know yourself to be, but it's identifying, defining, and then beginning to physically align to it in your customer service, actions and behaviors, your delivery of how you deliver what you deliver, your philosophies, and then you go to market it. So branding and marketing are two separate functions. You market a brand. So if you're out there marketing something you have not yet fully defined, then what are you marketing?
Right.
Yeah. So what happens in that instance, if you're out there marketing something you haven't fully, officially, or formally defined, then you begin to chase the client and that's a push, right? You're pushing out information because you don't have other ways to articulate your value proposition, instead of doing the brand work and really have something to start pulling people in who really value what you value, who believe what you believe, like Simon Sinek says, right?
Yeah.
Start with why.
I love that. One of the things that we talk about a lot with my company is helping our clients go from hunting for clients to being the hunted. And I think that's you referencing the pull versus the push, right?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really about knowing yourself so well, and the brand as an entity with employees, the bigger entity, right? I'm branding in a bigger entity, that's collective, versus that solopreneur. I know myself so well. I'm going to confidently share who I am, my beliefs, my philosophies, and you will have a tribe that is attracted to that. You have to trust that there are people out there that appreciate what you appreciate, that value what you value, right? And that's the beginnings of, that attraction and resonance.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question about how you got here, but before I ask that, some of what you're saying, you see so much on social media these days that is unattractive, right? Politics and the ugliness of people and their beliefs. And it seems like everyone is always, on the verge of a fight. Is there a place in your viewpoint for those types of things within a brand? For, let's say, a solopreneur, right? That is the face of their company. What's your thoughts on that? That's interesting for a branding expert to tell me.
Right. So there's a place if it's authentically you, right? So this is really about leveraging your authentic self and really beginning to walk your talk and deliver on that promise. And if there's a personality that's highly combative, but let's say they're very smart, they do their homework, and that's how they can be so articulate and combative in terms of, articulating their own side of the argument, then that's fascinating to a lot of people. They like to hear that. People that debate really, really well, right?
Yeah.
And that's intriguing. It's fascinating. It's like, how do they know all this stuff? And, they must have done their homework. So there's some credential there. And if I can expect that personality every single time, I begin to trust that personality. So a brand isn't inherently good. Understand that good, bad, or indifferent. You can have all kinds of different brands. It's just a set of perceptions that you have about something. So that's your branded experience. That's your branded opinion about that person. Yeah. But when you deliver that in a consistent way, and you start to build trust. I mean, there's a lot of people we could mention that are very consistent in their branding, good, bad, or indifferent,
Sure,
right?
sure.
That we know what to expect. So that's still a brand. And in fact, everyone has a brand already. You don't have to go out and get one. The question is really, are you in control of it?
Right.
And if we're not conscious, strategic, or deliberate in flushing those attributes out about who we are that are authentic to us, I would argue that we can't consciously, strategically, and deliberately step into that and live it every day. Because we are so impacted by our external environments these days, we become chameleons to what the outside world wants us to be.
Right.
And until we can be more internally driven and trust that, can we really drive our own brand success?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It totally does. I want to ask you what I think is an unfair question. Because this is really intriguing to me. You know, it's not that you could distill this down into 5 steps, but if you could distill this down, what would that look like? So getting in control of your brand, wow, totally see the importance. Everyone has a brand. Most people don't think of it that way. I have a brand, you have a brand, but it's being in control of your brand that's important. So how do you get in control of your brand in 3 easy steps?
So it's actually 6 steps.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you can do it.
Good.
And it's all in that brand DNA methodology we created. And I don't know if I even finished my story about why I went into the branding business.
Well, I want to hear the whole story, but we keep going. Yeah. I keep hearing other stuff that I want to learn about.
Okay. So I left the design world because I realized that all I was doing for my clients in designing a new logo or an updated logo was just putting lipstick on the pig.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing.
Right.
And they weren't improving their systems, their processes, their way of delivery, or anything else about the company, thinking that all they needed was a new logo. That is not rebranding, my friends.
Right.
Rebranding is recreating a value position, and really delivering on that value position. And it generally is also a different market that you're appealing to or with a different product, right? That's what true rebranding is. So when I had that BFO, blinding flash of the obvious, that all I was doing was that, I felt out of integrity. Like, I'm not really helping you. You don't even need a new logo design. You need to really get clear on who you are as a brand and start delivering on it every single day. So that's what got me into realizing that I'm not going to design anymore for my clients until we figure out who you are. They should be telling me, the vendor, who they are so that I can design an appropriate icon. But they couldn't even articulate it in a way that satisfied me as like, really? Because everybody in the business would say something different about their brand. Like, they didn't have a set, understood brand value position. So that's what got me into really fleshing out, knowing that there was a need here for a step-by-step process to get these companies thinking and acting and aligning to who they think they say they are. Well, let's get them to know it, right? Yeah. So the process is really, and the best way I can, for those of you watching the YouTube, this is the one sheet of the outputs. There are 6 pieces to it. One, of course, is about getting down to the core of your value structure and construct. So identifying 3 to 5 values and defining those values, because words they have different meanings for different people. So the corporation, the personal brand, has to sit down and define what that means to them and how it actually shows up in their everyday experience. So if you have a core value and you're never living that core value, that's probably not core, right?
True.
So the values are one step of the process. The second step is to flesh out those brand style attributes. And this is a lot of fun because this is the actual personality of the person or of the organization. And fleshing out what those are and how they actually show up, defining those, really helps create the foundation for customer service experiences, the way there's a vernacular going on in the office, right? In the culture of the company, how we talk to each other, how we talk to our clients, how we market ourselves, and then what tone colors come up around personalities, right? So all of that gets to shape how we're starting to make this brand tangible out there, right? Then there's differentiators. That's a big brainstorm dump about, how we are differentiating ourselves quantifiably in the marketplace. I mean, there's a whole list of differentiators. All these exercises are in both books.
Yeah.
So the whole process is. And then, of course, standards of performance for larger companies and standards of living for the personal brand. And then we get into the brand why statement and the brand platform and promise. So those are the pieces that make up the brand's DNA. So now that I'm conscious of it, I'm going to think about this every day, right? And I'm going to see when I am on brand and when I'm not on brand.
Okay.
And my goal, my platform is really about getting people more conscious, strategic, and deliberate about walking the talk and who they say they are and delivering on their promise. Yeah.
Love it. So you talked about branding and marketing, obviously two very different things. You defined branding for us. You talked about where your kind of passion comes from in all of that. Is there any type of this would probably be more on the marketing end, but there is any type of communication rhythm or cycle or suggestions that you make for a company that is rebranding or that is putting their brand into the marketplace for the first time? Anything, regarding social media or their website or anything like that? That's probably more the marketing end of it, but they certainly go hand in hand, right?
Well, you market a brand. So if you know who you are as a brand, then you've got content, you've got tone, you've got personality, you've got style in what you're going to be marketing from that point on. And as long as you stay consistent in marketing in that way, you're questioning yourself all the time. Is this ad or is this campaign on brand or not?
Okay.
Does it fit our core values and our brand style attributes? And does it tout our differentiators? And is it promising a brand promise that we're ready to deliver on and that we can? We're set up, our teams are trained, they get it, we're going to deliver on it, right? Because companies spend so much in marketing. How many times have you been to a restaurant? You might have a coupon or something. You give the coupon to the waitress and she looks at it like, never seen this before, right? Or there's a buy one, get one free something or whatever it is that you go into retail and their team doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
And then you feel like, they're not talking to each other. Nobody's talking to each other. Right. So as far as a rhythm, I would say the rhythm comes from just being aware of what you're marketing in terms of being on brand or off brand and being highly consistent in it, because every company is going to have a different medium or channel, social media channel, that would be their ideal channel. Not all social media channels fit every company style in any market, right? I hope that answers your question.
I think so. I mean, you certainly answered it. It probably brings up three others. So
I know that's what happens. It's Pandora's box.
Yeah, it's because it's intriguing. Obviously, the brand and the way you've explained the brand is the thing that you're going to market. And I think that for many people listening is going to be a great differentiator. They're going to understand it a lot better than maybe they've ever understood it before. But then, I think of solopreneurs, which I know one of your newer emphasis, I think, is on solopreneurs. So maybe someone who's a coach or a consultant or someone, in the marketplace. A lot of their communication happens on Facebook. It happens on Instagram. It happens on, the social media where they're communicating maybe in short form or blog post or something like that. And oftentimes they're communicating, at least what I see oftentimes, is they're communicating from life experience and things like that I don't know that they're doing anything for their brand. And I'm wondering how you could help somebody, or what would you tell somebody in that position?
So I would say that if everything you do contributes to or takes away from the value position others have of your brand. So be careful what you post, be careful what you share, be thoughtful, I guess is the better word, be thoughtful. Is this something that I want others to know that I am posting, that I want to share out there? Is it a reflection of what I stand for and who I am? And if it is, great. If it's not, be careful, because you could shake things up a lot. And it's sometimes it's a fine line for people, especially celebrities. When we grow into really valuing what we think is their value position, and then one day on the news, you hear something about what they've done or a mistake or whatever it is, and we're shocked.
Yeah.
We're let down. We're heartbroken, right? Because we thought something different.
Yeah. They did a good job managing their brand.
Yeah.
Right up until the time that the truth came out, I guess.
Well, I think, we also have to say that we're all human. We all do make mistakes. And the best brands are consistent, distinctive, and authentic as much as 95% of the time, because they're conscious, strategic, and deliberate at, making it out there and people aware of it.
Yeah. I guess if you're going to be on social media and your lifestyle or your brand is directly connected with you as an individual solopreneur of some kind, then being authentic solves a lot of problems.
Yes.
Because then, you don't have to worry about being caught in the lie. This is just who I am, take me or leave me kind of thing, right?
It's a lot less stressful to be authentic than to try to be somebody else. It really is.
Right. That's
to the sympathetic nervous system and everything else, right?
Would you, kind of last question along this lines, and I want to talk about your book and shift gears a little bit, but is there anything that you could tell, an individual that was maybe struggling with the self-consciousness of communicating about themselves and their brand? In my business, we're helping clients to write books and to use those books to grow their business. And oftentimes the perfectionist in them comes out to the point where they are afraid often to pull the trigger. And I'm sure that happens in the branding space as well. What would you tell somebody that is just, feeling, butterflies, if you will, in communicating their brand?
Well, I think butterflies are a great sign.
Yeah.
It's that gut sign that says you're about to break into something really big, and that you should begin to trust. And that what happens when you really get clear on your own personal brand, you fall back in love with who you are. And you step into a level of power and empowerment that you never had before, because we are often confused about who we are because of what we let in from the external environment to dictate who we think we are. But I would also say that, in my 6 Myths of Small Business Branding ebook, one of my first books, there's a sixth myth in there that says no brand is universal. So you cannot expect to please everybody, and knowing that and letting go of that thought that I have to please everybody, and perfectionists like to do that, right?
Yeah.
That they have a specific niche and area that they're going to be appealing to, and then go for it for that particular area and go for it 110%. That's what gets you excited, and just letting go of the other stuff. I call them the peanut gallery out there. You just let them go. Yeah. That's what I would tell them. Yeah.
Love it. Great advice. So let's shift gears for 1 second, if we could, or not 1 second, but a few minutes anyway.
Okay.
You've spent a lot of time writing books, marketing your books. It is no small feat to do the things that you've done. So congratulations on that. But you've done that, like most authors, I believe, for more than one reason. One reason being you do want to help people. You want to make a difference in people's lives. You want to make an impact. But I think the other reason is that you knew that your books would make an impact for you. I wonder if you can just talk about that for a few minutes. Like, how have your books really specifically helped you grow your brand and your business from the first one to now?
Yeah, I think it was such a relief to get the proprietary intellectually out of our brains for that first book and get it into paper and actually see it out there so that we could, deliver something to a company that they could take a look at and start implementing. I'm a certified trainer, and I love to make sure or ensure that what I'm delivering is actually being consumed, and it's practical enough for people to make it happen and make it work, right?
Yeah.
So this Brand DNA book was great when we first launched it. It got launched in 2010. And that was, like, I've heard some of your other guests say, an expensive calling card, right? And it is, but it not only got us into global companies where they would purchase books for most of their leadership team, then they would contact us and say, we want you to come out and actually deliver the workshop or deliver the process. Even though they all had books, they wanted us to come out and do that. So we did that with lots of global firms. So that really got our footing out there. And, we really enjoyed the different types of, from engineer firms to big sales team firms, retail, those types of companies that we could get out inside of and deliver this sort of process.
I love that. Can you tell me maybe a strategy that you use to, introduce your book to these larger companies or corporations? How did they find you and find your book?
We were such babes at our first book. We didn't even know what we were doing. We really didn't. And I think that this client must have heard some sort of a radio show interview, which the book got us that, right? We had some other clients, and one of them was a global speaker and had a radio show. So, and he also endorsed our book, the first book and the second book, actually, and had us on the show. So I think that particular client was listening to his show and brought us in to deliver that program, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
And it was when self-publishing really wasn't a thing yet. It wasn't as easy as it is right now, just to create a book and get it out there, which I love that you can do that now. The ebook I built and put out there as a lead gen. You get this free book and then you get this and this, and then you get in our funnel and you create all that whole, right? That was when funnels are still huge, I guess, today. But I think a lot of people are, they have this spidey sense about funnels these days. They know what's going on, so it's a little harder. But the personal brand clarity book, I decided I was going to invest in a publishing firm and I was going to actually do this the right way.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And my book was pretty much written before I even hired them. So it was just a matter of them helping me get it up on Amazon the right way, and then distribute it out to all the bookstores the right way. All the tips and tricks that you just don't have time as a solopreneur to invest in, to be an expert in. So, and that has we've really concentrated on podcasts. In fact, you had Seth Green on not too long ago, and I was just a guest on his show.
Nice.
So, the world goes around, right? It all spins around.
100%.
Yeah.
So,
I love podcasts. Yeah.
The latest book then that you're, obviously the first book was successful. It sounds like you did very, very well with that, and even accidentally in some cases, right? Mm-hmm. But when you work it, it works for you, and you were working it. You were on radio shows and doing those things. Do you have besides podcasts, is there any kind of master-ish plan of using it? Are you using it in a funnel? Are you using your latest book to get speaking engagements? Are you mailing the books to individuals or corporations that may be a good fit? Like anything like that you're doing?
Yes, I always every month I make a top 10 list.
Nice.
And I get the contact information of these companies that I want to have connection with. And I'll send them a love letter. I attach a love letter with my book and just tell them, I'd love for them to take a look at this. This is powerful. Because I do a personal brand leadership program, a workshop. So the personal brand clarity book, when I said there were two markets in there, the solopreneur and then the emerging leaders within corporations,
right,
that is perfect for. So they buy the workshop and they get a book for every participant, right? That walks them through the whole process.
Yeah.
So that's powerful. I love that, how that's being, everyone wants to build leaders these days. Leadership is such a huge topic.
Yes.
So many good leadership books out there. This is actually the process that creates that internal ownership and leverages your superpowers as a leader to begin to build that tribe. And then I have contests on social media. I have a free, they can enroll in what I call the personal brand Kickstarter Toolkit. And if they enroll every month, they get put in a contest or drawing to win a book. But the toolkit is really just pieces and parts that they can begin to start working on to build out their brand without the whole process, but just dip their foot in the pool, so to speak. So they get in that funnel.
Yeah.
And, which also markets my book and also markets my online course, because spend a lot of time putting that information into an online course.
Love it. Yeah. I love your top 10 thing in particular. That's awesome. So every month you send 10 books out and you have a love letter Maybe much of the love letter is the same, right? Maybe there's some content that you change out depending on who you're sending it to. What are your results, if you don't mind me asking, from that? Like, are you selling your workshops, and are like, what percentage of those people actually get back to you and say, Suzanne, thank you. I love your book, and et cetera. What does that look like?
So this book was launched October 21st. So I'm still in the seeding stage.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely following up with those people, but I have landed 2 workshops already.
Congrats.
And, I am a live speaker. Stages are my playground. So I prefer to wait until America opens back up again and I can get out there and really be in person with them. So some of them are saying that they'd like to wait too for that to happen because they want me in there and integrated with their teams.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised, but I am getting some really good, thoughtful interest in so this could do this. Oh yeah. So this could do this. Yes. So it's interesting for sure, and it's really the follow-up too that has to happen. It's not just a one-time book send because these guys are busy. Yeah. You got to follow up.
I love it. I mean, it's a simple strategy, and I hate sometimes when someone hears something that's simple and just discounts it for its simplicity. We teach something similar to book speaking engagements, and we have a process where we teach them to send 5 books out a week. And then, there's a love letter involved, and there's a follow-up call with a personal assistant that leads to and we have a client that booked herself on over 90 speaking engagements in an 18-month period with her minimum fee being $5,000. And,
nice.
And so she made hundreds of thousands of dollars with this just dumb, stupid, simple process. And so few people do it. And so I'm so happy to hear that you're doing something different but similar, and it's working so well for you. I hope people hear that and just go, oh, I can do that.
Well, I tell you, Rob, one of my core values is efficiency.
Yeah.
And the simpler, the better. If it works, I'm doing it. I'm not complicating anything.
Love it. Love that strategy. Thank you for sharing it. Love the stuff that you're doing with Brand DNA and with your books. Tell us, where can we find out more information about you? Where can we get your books, that kind of thing?
Yeah, of course, my books are on Amazon. Yeah. All 3 of them actually on Amazon. I am on brandascension.com for training, and I've got all of my potential workshops and, subject matter topics on there. I have an online course called personalbrandpresence.com.
Okay.
That course is it's 5 modules. There's 14 lessons in there. I'm walking them through the whole way. They get to see me. I'm narrating the whole thing. It's a lot of fun. Downloadable workbook. Great. For those solopreneurs that are out there that want to, are great do-it-yourselfers. This is the program for them. Yeah. And then I'm on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. Come visit me on Instagram.
Yeah. Terrific.
Oh, my YouTube channel is one other thing. It's called Personal Brand Clarity. I'm building that out. I've got these 3-minute tips and techniques called Brand Bites. They're 3-minute videos. And then I also have 90 seconds to personal brand clarity, little snippets and vignettes around certain things that are in the book that help you get clear on who you are as a brand.
Love it. Love it. Love all the content that you're creating. We'll put all that stuff in the show notes. So if somebody wasn't able to write it down, they'll have access to it. And love the YouTube channel. Sounds like those 3-minute vignettes are a great way for people to get to know you and the stuff that you do. And of course, your books, what's better than a book? So great.
I know.
Thank you for being on. Thanks for, just sharing so honestly and giving us the gold.
Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate your time and your audience. I want to say hi to everybody out there and keep going and be consistent.
Love it. Love it.